All right, and good evening, everyone. I'm Joshua Weisel here in the Weather 225 Storm Studios. We've got our eye on the sky for the potential for some strong to severe storms. We're monitoring the potential for that activity later tonight into tomorrow morning. So let's get started with the forecast for overnight tonight. With those overcast conditions and everything along those lines, pretty warm and humid, right? We're going to be into the upper 70s, lower 80s overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. And while it's going to be a warm overnight, that's not going to be the full story. The main weather headline that we're going to be looking at is we got some cooler weather on the way associated with why we have the potential for some showers and storms. So overall, tonight to tomorrow morning is going to be a little bit on the warmer side, but we do have those rain chances, and that's going to lead to a cooler afternoon. Notice it's not going to climb all that much compared to the temperatures in some locations that we start off with. So overnight, once that front's going to start to slowly roll in, the temperatures, it's going to warm up slightly, but not by much compared to the morning lows. We're going to start off in 80 in some locations, and some areas are going to be into the mid to upper 80s. So not that big of a climb in those temperatures. It's going to be notable, today compared to some of the temperatures that we've seen even today across the area. But we've also got a risk for maybe some heavy rainfall and even some strong to severe storms. Widespread rain chances on the way for tonight into tomorrow. As you can see, we're into the very high to even expected category for a majority of the area. And I think there's a pretty good likelihood that we're going to see two different areas of activity that move in. One will be this evening into tonight, and then the other one's going to arrive by the time we get to tomorrow morning. So we've got a couple different waves to keep an eye on. Here's a look at zooming into the Metroplex. Very high to expected rain chances are expected. And some of us could even pick up maybe a couple of inches of rain. DFW, some of the North Texas areas, I think, are going to be a little bit more likely to see between 1 to maybe 2.5 inches or so. The further west of I-35 you go, that's where you start to see those rain chances maybe a little bit higher into the 3 to 4 inch category, maybe some localized amounts of maybe up to 5 inches possible. So we got a lot of rainfall on the way. Zooming into the metro, here's a look at what I was talking about. Maybe a couple inches, 1 to 2, maybe 2 to 3 in some locations, but overall, greatest heavy rain potential is going to be west of the area. But keep in mind, though, even though west of the metro may see anywhere of 3 to maybe 5 inches of rainfall, we've had a lot of heavy rainfall in recent weeks. So it may not take a whole lot for some localized flooding in the metro if you have 1 to 2 inches of rain. So some localized flooding potential may be possible, especially with that heavy rain that it happens pretty quickly. And then as of the time of this recording, we did have a couple areas that we were watching for some strong to severe storms and maybe even a watch possible. And it was primarily in this general vicinity along and to the west of I-35, where the risk is still highlighted mostly for that area. And as we zoom in, it does include parts of the metro. And I want people east of that, area that says low end risk to not take it too seriously, that you're completely clear here. There is a potential that there could be at least strong storms as they gradually move east. And by strong, I mean 45 to 55 mile per hour winds, maybe some small hail. But there will be that low end potential for some strong to severe storms. There may even be a severe storm or two outside of that risk too, to the east. We'll just have to wait and see. Not everyone's going to see severe weather, but we need to keep in mind there will be the potential for some hail, damaging winds, and even heavy rain and lightning. Low, but not zero tornado potential as well. There's that first round that arrives, and then by the time we get to tomorrow morning, that second larger batch of rain, it's on the way through midday. So we've got that first round that's going to develop along and west of I-35 this evening. A much larger batch of rain is going to arrive by later tonight into tomorrow morning. That will last until early afternoon. And then as we make our way, maybe a couple pop-up showers and storms by the time we get to the afternoon on the backside of that system, but really starts to quiet down. And then by the time we get to Saturday morning, maybe Saturday afternoon, a couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms will be possible, especially for areas along and to the east of I-35. So the activity is going to pick up widespread pretty much tonight. We've got additional chances for some rain and thunderstorms by the time we get to Saturday. Notice that's around 40%. Lower rain chances on Sunday, but notice the temperatures that had the 99s on the forecast. Well, there was a little bit of a change to the forecast. Looks like more active weather is on the way. Maybe not widespread rainfall or heavy rainfall by any means, but there is going to be the potential that we could see 90s throughout the week. But Sunday is going to be the next opportunity for upper 90s. The temperatures look a little bit lower with a couple different waves that we're going to see pretty much into early next week. So we'll keep an eye on that activity. But the temperatures look to be a little bit cooler with this updated forecast. And that's the tricky thing about forecasting, in all honesty, is, you look at these 7-day forecasts and they do change. And that's the thing about forecasting. Forecasting, between days 1 to 3 or even 4, this is probably the most accurate you're going to get. We have an idea these days out, so don't think that these are completely, unreliable or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. But the thing about forecasts is they're constantly evolving. Even the day of, they're constantly evolving. So when I say I want you to tune back into the forecast updates for all the latest information, it's not because, we need viewers. We appreciate you tuning in. We love that you tune in, and obviously that's a great thing. But the thing about tuning in with the forecast is these are constantly changing and evolving, and you could see there was a little bit of a change, to say the least. And this is why we say tune in for the latest updates, because forecast is always going to be changing. Weather's always changing, and that's why we're here. We're here to get you through all of the weather changes and everything along those lines. So thank you so much for tuning in. Tonight, just have ways to receive alerts just in case. Not everyone's going to see severe weather, but I just want you to have those ways in the middle of the night. So if you have to pull that car in to get away from hail, or if you're in a mobile home, for instance, and there's damaging winds on the way, we're not talking a high tornado potential. There's a low end risk with it, but I don't think we're going to see widespread tornado warnings necessarily. But just in the event that we see any type of severe weather, it's always a good idea just to have those alerts just in case in the middle of the night. So that's our recommendation to you. Have a good one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Keep an eye on the radar. Stay here with Weather 225. If you like our media and forecast, be sure to support us today on Patreon. You can advertise with us this storm season and throughout the year. Contact us today for availability and pricing. Weather 225 since 2015.